Imagine you are the bank. You hand your money over to a government or a massive company, and in exchange, they promise to pay you back on a specific date, throwing in a little extra cash along the way for your trouble. That is a bond. It sounds perfectly simple, and that steady, predictable structure is exactly why bonds have a reputation for being the calmest part of investing. But every upside comes with strings attached. Let's sit down and look at what bonds actually give you, how they work in the real world, and where you need to read the small print. Predictable interest payments. Why do people even buy these things? Mostly for the calendar. Imagine setting up a subscription, but instead of you paying Netflix, somebody pays you. When you buy a bond, the borrower agrees to send you a set amount of interest on a strict schedule, usually once or twice a year. We call this payment the coupon. Think about company stock for a second. A CEO can just wake up, look at a bad quarterly report, and cancel shareholder dividends. A bond coupon is a legal promise. As long as the company is breathing and able to pay, you know exactly what is landing in your account and exactly when. Known maturity date and planned principal repayment. A bond is essentially a road trip with a very specific destination. That finish line is called the maturity date. This is the exact day the borrower has to hand back your original money, which we call the principal. So you are not just collecting those nice little interest payments along the way. You actually have a day circled on the calendar when your big chunk of cash comes home. You can match that date to your own life goals, knowing when the money is supposed to return. The catch is straightforward. That cash comes back completely whole only if you hold on until the very end, and the borrower doesn't go bust. Bond versus bank deposit. Here is where a lot of beginners trip up. You see a bond paying a high interest rate, and naturally compare it to your everyday savings account. But a bank deposit usually sits safely under a government deposit protection scheme. If the bank catches fire, a safety net steps in to save your cash. A bond drops that net entirely. You are lending directly to a specific business or government. If they fail, you take the hit. When a bond offers a higher rate than your local bank, you are paying for that extra yield by taking on the borrower's personal risk. Tradability before maturity. So what happens if life happens and you need your money back tomorrow? Do you have to sit around for 5 years waiting for that maturity date? Usually, no. The bond market is constantly moving, meaning you can sell your bond to another investor and walk away. Try doing that with a locked bank deposit without paying a massive penalty. The exit door for bonds is generally wide open. You can free up your cash if your plans change. Hold to maturity versus sell before maturity. But opening that exit door changes the math. If you sit patiently until the maturity date, everything is predictable. You get the agreed payments, you get your face value back. If you hit the sell button early, you are at the mercy of whatever mood the market is in that day. Interest rates shift, the company gets bad press, and suddenly the price someone is willing to pay you today drops below what you originally put in. Yes, you have the flexibility to escape, but the exact amount of cash you walk away with on a random Tuesday is never promised. Potentially higher income for extra risk. Let's talk about the big numbers. Sometimes you see a bond offering a massive payout and it feels like you just found a cheat code for wealth. A high yield is never a free gift. It is compensation. The market is paying you extra because something is wobbly. Maybe the borrower is struggling. Maybe you have to wait 20 years. Or maybe the currency is volatile. Investors call this the risk premium. If you know what you are doing, you can absolutely get paid for taking that heat. Just ask yourself, why are they offering me so much? And am I comfortable with the answer? Coupon versus yield to maturity. If you want to spot a confident bond buyer, watch how they look at the return. A beginner looks at the coupon, that fixed percentage printed on the bond, and assumes that is their profit. But the actual price of the bond moves up and down on the market. If you pay a premium to buy the bond today, your actual return is going to shrink. If you buy it at a discount, your return goes up. That real bottom line number is called yield to maturity, or YTM. Always read the yield, not just the shiny headline coupon. Choice of risk level through issuer quality. Who exactly are you lending to? You get to pick your own adventure here. On one side, you have massive, stable governments. They are incredibly reliable, but they pay the least. Then you have giant, boring corporations, the investment grade stuff. Keep walking down that road and you hit high-yield bonds. These are weaker companies that have to pay you a lot more because there is a very real chance they might miss a payment. You have a dial to turn up or down the trust, depending on your appetite. Diversification away from stocks. Stocks and bonds live in completely different worlds. Stocks care about company profits and aggressive growth. Bonds just care about interest rates and staying alive long enough to pay you back. Because they react to different things, mixing them together smooths out your ride. When the stock market is throwing a tantrum, your bonds are usually sitting quietly in the corner doing their job. It doesn't work every single time, but over the years, it keeps your portfolio from losing its mind. Individual bond versus bond fund or ETF. So how do you actually buy one? You basically have two paths. You can buy one specific individual bond. It is yours, it has one fixed payment, and one finish line. Or you can buy a bond fund or an ETF. Think of this as a giant rolling basket of bonds. As old ones finish, the manager throws new ones in. It is incredibly easy to buy and great for spreading your risk. But because the basket is constantly changing, there is no single magical day when everything stops and you get your exact cash back. Both routes are great, but that strict promise of a fixed amount on a fixed date, that experience really belongs to a single bond you hold to the bitter end.